In this age of new normal, online is not your only option. Because new normal means new learning modalities and new learning possibilities. Let Vibal make learning offline possible with Smart Class. Smart Class contains pre-made daily modules sequenced according to DepEd's budgeted teaching and learning calendar. Each module has a specific lesson duration and has day markers to guide parents and teachers in the asynchronous learning of learners. Inside the modules available in Smart Class, you will find the following elements. First, learning competencies are identified in the module openers. Kickstarters are available to test students' prior knowledge on the subject matter. This set of activities, found at the beginning of each lesson, may also serve as motivational activities. Parents of preschool to grade 2 students will also find notes to parents which contain tips and pointers on how they can guide their child while learning at home. Redefine your students' learning experience with the integration of augmented reality technology into images and illustrations available in Smart Class, making learning more interactive and exciting. At the end of each module, Long Quiz is also available to assess students' understanding of the lesson. Smart Class also features Wrap Up, a lesson ender activity that applies the constructivism theory of learning. In Wrap Up, students are expected to summarize the lesson on their own using a graphic organizer. You may also evaluate the quality of your students' learning by letting them practice their learning in real life through GRASP's formatted performance tasks. The content of Smart Class is designed for the entire academic year, and it is available for 5 major subjects. All aligned with DepEd's K-12 curriculum and covers the most essential learning competencies prescribed by DepEd. Secure your own copy of Smart Class before classes open. Contact marketing@vibalgroup.com to know more.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Vibal Group. Thank you for inviting me once again to be your resource person. The first, the first time that I was with you was last June 2. So magandang hapon sa lahat ng mga kaguruan na nakikinig ngayon. I'm also happy to greet my students, my former students are also watching right now. Maganda yung topic natin ngayong hapon, learn and play, principles for child development in the primary levels. Okay? So, kailangan nating maunawaan bakit learn and play, they're connected. That's why my first topic, for you to understand better why play is actually the main vehicle for learning, I will go through, maiksi lang to, but I have to go through the principles of child development and learning. So that's going to be my first set of slides. And thank you to Miss Michelle who will help me with my PowerPoint. We're going to go through defining the child first, so you will better understand why play is really needed. All right, so I think Miss Michelle, this is there you go, defining the child. All right, so let's go to the first slide, please. Principles of child development. Okay, so as you can see there, dear teachers, children's growth and development occur in at least 4 areas. Okay, dear teachers who are watching, when you look at your students, when you teach them, whether face to face or online, but all of us are online right now, you have to remember, you have to view that child as a whole child, not only as an academic being, pero pag tiningnan mo yung bata in a holistic way. Okay, so how? Eto nga, ituturo ngayon ni Teacher Claude. For many of you, This is just a review kasi basic to na theory na we all have learned in EDUC while we were still studying, okay? So these are the domains of a child. There's the physical domain. Alam natin yon, di ba? Yung kanyang physical well-being. And of course, when we talk about child dev, it's divided into two. The fine motor skills, the small muscles responsible for holding the writing material, writing, painting, artwork, holding cubiertos, what else? Anything, okay, na may kinalaman sa small muscles, that's fine motor skills. Well, it's just sad that the past few years we have seen children of all ages, kahit yung mga maliit pa na mga baby pa, napakaliit na lang ng gamit nila ng fine motor skills. At ito ay paghawak ng gadgets, no? Pag tablet ang hawak nila or iPad, ang gumagalaw na lang ay si Mr. Tallman at si Mr. Pointer, at pag phone ang hawak nila, ang gumagalaw na lang ay si Mr. Thumbman. Now, before anyone will ask me this afternoon, Teacher Claude, paano yan? Bumalik, gadgets talaga tayo ngayon kasi nga pandemic and then lockdown, quarantine, so no face-to-face. Wait a minute, we have to clarify that. Okay? Yung gadget, nandyan lang. Halimbawang nag-online tayo, nandyan lang yung gadget as a window, okay? As a window whereby the child can see his teacher and vice versa. Pero hindi ibig sabihin na yung mga activities niya ay dyan gagawin. Okay? So we have to be clear about that. So that's fine motor skills. What about the other half? We call it gross motor skills. The large muscles responsible for walking, running, jumping, tumbling, climbing bars, dancing, marami, right? That's gross motor skills. Again, I'd like to say, and I'm sure alam nyo to, we have seen the past years, we have seen the diminishing, kung hindi man totally nawala, the diminishing of the the exercise or the practice of gross motor skills. Why? Kasi alam naman nating lahat, kalimitan ay nakaupo na lang or nakahiga ang mga bata at may hawak na gadgets. But we will talk more about that, don't worry. Okay? So that's the physical domain. And then nandun na kasama na yun kung sakitin ba siya, malakas ba yung kanyang immune system, maliksi ba siya, all right. Let's go to the next domain is the language domain. This covers 4 areas: speaking, listening, reading, and writing. When I say writing, ang ibig sabihin dito sa language domain, writing na you write stories, poems, putting together words to form sentence, putting together letters to form words, or composing lyrics to a song. That's language domain. And of course, yung speaking, diba? And listening. You have to take note why I am going through the principles of child development. Although our main topic really is play, because kasama ito para maunawaan ninyo. See? Language domain. Hindi ba often we want the kids to keep quiet? Diba, no, mga teachers, kasama na yung sarili ko kasi convenient para sa isang guro eh. Pero hindi ko naman sinasabi na all the time they will be talking and making noise. However, napaka-importante pala ng language domain kasi nakapaloob din doon ang speaking, which is a part of their development, and it's really important. Let's go to the cognitive domain. Now, each time I reach this domain, I point to my head. Cognitive domain, mind processes. Sa ibang sources, ang tawag nila dito the mental domain or the intellectual domain. And in other groups, ang tawag nila dito, na sa totoo lang, hindi siya cognitive domain na kompleto ha. They call it academic development. But academic development is not cognitive domain as a whole. Academic development has something to do with grades. Has something to do with things that you remember. Things that probably you have memorized. Or siguro natutunan mo ng short term. Yes, I have to say that. Pero hindi, ang academic development isang parte ng cognitive domain. Marami kasi sa cognitive domain. Uunahin ko na yung memorize kasi nasa pinakababa siya eh. Memorize, comprehension, analyzing, synthesizing, integrating, okay? Reasoning, questioning, probing, discovering, marami. Pero ang best test is actually application. kung na-apply ng bata, yun ang isang pruweba na talagang natuto siya. Okay? So that's the cognitive domain. And of course, for me, this is the most important, although all domains are important, social emotional domain. The social, it's like two domains rolled into one, okay? Social domain, the child in relation to other people. Paano siya makipag-usap? Paano siya makitungo? Mahiyain ba siya? Bibo ba siya? First day of classes, marami na ba siyang friends and barkada? Or matatapos na ang school year, wala pa siyang ka-close, wala siyang katabi palagi. That's social domain. How about emotional domain, yung kapartner niya? Emotional domain, from the word emotions, it's how a person or a child manages his or her emotions. Kasi normal and given yung mga emotions eh. Joy, anger, sadness, nandyan yan. But how we manage it, dun papasok ang emotional domain. So two domains rolled into one, social emotional domain. And uh, look at the slide and you can read there, it says these areas are interrelated and make children whole persons. You see? Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, dear teachers. When you look at your children, when you look at your students, when you look at your own child, look at him as a whole being. Hindi lang yung academic, parang academic being siya. Why am I saying this? Lagi ko tong inuulit-ulit sa pag nag-lecture ako. Well, because in most cases, that's what I perceive. Parang yun ang gustong malaman ng lahat. Okay? Alam na to ng mga students ko, alam na ng mga, the many parents I've given lectures to, the many teachers na kung saan nakapagbigay ako ng seminars and training sa kanila. Alam nila yon, that I always say this. When I was an active, I've been teaching kids and college students for more than 25 years already. But right now, hindi na ako ganun ka-active ng pagturo ng mga bata. Paminsan-minsan na lang. But when I was a new teacher, a young teacher, ang palaging tanong ng mga magulang sa akin, usually this occurs mga first week of classes, especially from excited parents. Of course, I was an excited parent too, no? A long time ago, nung ako'y bagong naging magulang. Ang laging tanong pagkatapos ng klase ko, para kaming nagpapatintero, kasi may sunod pa ako na class, pero ayaw nila palagpasin si Teacher Claude. Yun pala ang itatanong ganito, Teacher Claude, may itatanong po ako, nahiya po akong tanungin, pero tanungin ko na rin. Teacher, matalino po ba yung anak ko? Tapos another parent, Teacher, tanungin ko lang po, sumagot po ba siya kanina? Nag-recite ba? Teacher, nagtaas ba ng kamay? Teacher, naka 100 ba? I can't even answer that because ako as an early childhood educator na progressive, I'm a progressive educator and hindi naman kami nagbibigay ng figures, no? So I can't even answer dun sa mga 100 or whatever. But the main point is, alam nyo ba, viewers, nobody asked me, Teacher Claude, kasi yung anak ko po, meron siyang tendency sa bahay na manakit or pagka mainit ang ulo niya. Kaya curious lang po ako, kanina ba may tinulak po siya, may sinagi siya? Nobody asked me that. Okay? Or, teacher, umiyak ba siya? Sobrang mahiyain yan or sobrang matatakutin, no? Most of the questions that I got, Teacher Claudette, matalino po ba ang anak ko? Is that looking at a child in a holistic manner? No. Okay? Hindi natin tiningnan ang bata as a whole being. So, interrelated lahat ng ito. When something is not right, okay? When something is wrong with one domain, let's say sa social emotional domain, don't expect the child to be listening to you. Don't expect the child, and I know a lot of parents are listening right now. When something is not right with social emotional domain, let's say a few minutes just before na you go on, the child goes online, or gusto mo siyang mag-aral, gusto mo siyang mag-focus, mag-concentrate, mag-pay attention. Kung bago yon, a few minutes before that, may nangyaring away, may narinig siyang sigawan, etc. Please don't expect the child to be able to focus and to be able to engage in his lessons. Bakit po, Teacher Claude? Kakadiscuss lang natin, di ba? Interrelated. Interrelated yan. Okay? Parang minsan madali lang sa atin to say, concentrate. Lumilipad na naman ang isip mo. Of Of course. Baka naman bago mag-online o bago pumasok, let's say noon pumapasok face-to-face, baka naman nakarinig ng, mahabang sermon or he has witnessed fighting, shouting, squabbling, etc. And then don't expect that the child will be able to function well in the cognitive domain. All right? And then, point number 2 says children develop in a definite pattern and predictable sequence. So ang development po, may pattern, may sequence. Familiar lahat tayo sa tinatawag na developmental milestones, right? This is a checklist of what a child can do or what we expect a child can do at certain ages in different domains. For example, a 3-year-old child, what do you expect from him cognitively, socio-emotionally, or language or physically? Diba? And so on, so forth. Nakalagay yan sa developmental milestone which you can actually download. Just put in the search bar, developmental milestone of, ilagay nyo yung age ng anak ninyo, and then you will see there, you will see a checklist. All right? But it says here, there's a pattern and there's a sequence. Ano po ang ibig sabihin yan? Merong order. Okay? There's an order. Ibig sabihin, huwag nating i-rush ang mga bata. The developmental milestone is there as our guide. I'm not saying na talagang very structured naman din tayo sa pagtingin ng milestone. No. Kung masyado nang malaki ang gap, we all know that's already a time for a red flag. Okay? Halimbawa, 2 to 3 years na yung gap. Kung nyari, 7 na siya ngayon, ang ginagawa niya parang pang 4 years old. Then I think that's red flag already. Pero kung konting nahuhuli lang siya, ilang months, or let's say a year, who knows, maybe next month, maybe within the next 2 months, hahabol na siya. But point number 2 is really saying that we should let children be children. Minsan lang ang pagkabata. It has been my hope and wish that in the Philippines, eventually matutunan talaga ng mga magulang at mga kaguruan at mga ahensya na responsible dito, na ang bata, ang childhood ay dumadaan minsan lang. But we hurry them up. Para tayong nagmamadali palagi. Okay? Take note of that, teachers. Point number 3, the rate of development varies in individuals. Ito na yung sinasabi ko kanina. Di ba? For example, teachers, you are handling a homogeneous class of, let's say, grade 3. So mga 8 years old yon. While we have the developmental milestone, you can't expect na pare-pareho sila ng kakayahan that year. Kasi pagka ganun ng ating pananaw, it's like expecting children of the same age na pareho lang ng size ang suot nilang damit. Di ba hindi naman po ganun? Ganun din po sa development. Okay? The rate of development varies. Kaya lang, bakit ba tayo nagmamadali? Huhulaan ko po ng konti. You see, it's not really basing on the theories of child development or principles of learning. Kalimitan kaya tayo nagmamadali. Kasi yung kaedad ng anak natin, na nakapitbahay natin, eto na yung ginagawa. Magaling na magbasa, napakabibo, yung anak natin hindi ganon. So we scold him, we scold her. Okay? I wish I can see all of you. Sayang, naka-live si Teacher Claude. Sana kung parang Zoom na nakikita ko kayo because I really would like to interact with you and I want to see your reactions. Okay? Dito sa punto na pinag-uusapan natin ngayon, hindi ho pwede nating ikumpara. Ang milestone po ang ating pagbasehan and please just stop comparing. When you can't, pag hindi niyo po mapigilan yung urge to compare, please concentrate on the positive areas, on the positive notes. Okay? Kung hindi kapitbahay, i-compare natin sa mga pamangkin. Kasi Teacher Claude, yung cousins niya, nung nag-reunion kami, ganito na ang kayang gawin. Ano ngayon? We are talking about the development of your child, of your student, hindi ng mga pinsan niya, hindi ng mga kapatid niya or kapitbahay. Okay? All right, that's clear. And then, this is a very important point, number 4. Development is determined and influenced by the interaction of heredity and environment. I'm sure you've heard of that. Okay? They're very familiar. Nature versus, nurture. So I wish I can really hear you. Nature versus nurture. Dapat tanggalin ng word the versus. Eh hindi naman, dalawa yan magkasama. Okay? Yung genes given, how they look, how they sometimes behave, may mga mannerisms, may mga ugali, may mga personality. But ako personally, I thank God that there's environment. There's the aspect of nurture. Kasi ito yung kakayahan ng environment na ihubog yung bata. Okay? However, napaka crucial din ito. Kasi lahat tayo kasama na dun sa sa environment, anything that surrounds the child, the people that he hears every day talking regularly or shouting maybe kasama sa environment yon. Eh, mga how they behave, the things, the computer programs or games that he plays kasama sa environment yon. The reading materials na binabasa niya kasama sa environment. Lahat TV program na pinapanood niya kasama sa environment yun. This is important. While our main topic is play, this is connected to play. Okay? All right. So, before we even scold our children, why do you talk that way? Bakit sumisigaw? Bakit nagdadabog? Please, stop. Pause. Reflect. Hindi naman niya siguro ginawa-gawa lang yun. Let's ask ourselves. Okay? Saan niya kaya narinig? Saan niya kaya na-pick up? Diba? Kasi teachers, alam naman nating lahat yan, ang theory ni Albert Bandura. Okay? Remember the imitation, the modeling, ginagaya kung anong nakikita. And then number 5 really hits the nail. Children are unique individuals. Kaya pala. So kahit magkakapatid sila, they were raised in, their parents are the same set of biological parents, pinalaki sa isang bahay, meaning the same upbringing, the same discipline, the same na naririnig araw-araw. May mga similarities sila, yes. But have you noticed? They turned out to be different from each other. Kahit nga po yung kambal, di ba? So, same goes with your students. Why? Because we are unique individuals. No two children are alike. No two siblings are alike. Okay. Number 6. The first 6 years, in fact, this was extended already. I would say that the first 6 to 8 years of life are critical foundation for later development. So, yung mga coming years ba, hindi na importante? Importante. However, napaka-importante na mag-invest tayo dito sa early childhood years. Okay? 0 to 6 or 0 to 8. By invest, I don't mean money. Kasi pag invest, di ba, pera ka agad. Invest. Invest a positive social learning environment or a positive social environment. Invest bonding time, quality and quantity time. Why? Diba? I mentioned that earlier. Minsan lang ang pagkabata. So we cannot rewind. We cannot rewind those times. Okay. And now let's go to the we can go now, Ms. Michelle, to the principles of learning. Yeah. There you go. Principles of learning. Children are active learners. By active, I don't mean action-based. Wala muna tayo doon. By active, I mean, look at me. I'm pointing to my head again. Children are active learners. They think. That's why they reason. Akala natin pag sumagot ng mahabang sagot, pilosopo. Hindi. Tama lang yun. Kasi children are active learners. Di ba kanina nagbigay ako ng example? Parents are asking me always, children, matalino ba ang anak ko? They want their kids to be matalino. Pero pag marami nang sinasabi, what do we say? Anong tendency natin? Shh, tama na, mamaya na. Just listen to me. Just do as I say. O, nasaan na doon ng active learning? Nasaan na doon ng pagiging active learners? See? And that's why they ask a lot of questions. They probe. Nagtanong, sinagot mo. Hindi ba, dear teachers, ang kasunod na questions, hindi mo na nga mabilang? Because they are active learners. So, dear teachers, malapit na ang pasukan. If you can just minimize questions, sabi ko minimize, not totally remove it. If you can minimize questions answerable by yes or no, Kasi hindi po natin madedevelop ang pagiging active learner nila kung ang sasagutan nila palagi, opo, hindi po, yes, teacher, no, teacher, and then what? Di ba? Oh, kailangan more of the why, what if, how, patuloy na pag-iimbestiga para ma-hone ang kanilang critical thinking skills. Okay? Take note, your students are not passive learners. Children learn from each other and from adults. Ibig sabihin, children learn from interaction. Ito nga yung minsan nalulungkot yung heart ko, ano? Kasi mamimiss ko yung ingay, mamimiss ko yung sinasaway ko sila. No, really, children learn from interaction. Once we stop interaction, I'm sorry, we have to question the learning process because I doubt it if learning took place. Kailangan may interaction. Kailangan may exchange. Kaya nga dito papasok din ang importante na role ng mga parents. Because in areas where you go straight modular, nasasagot lang sila, that's one way. I mean, one direction of, diba, sumagot, may question, sinagot nila. Pero ang interaction po kasi papasok pag merong mga show and tell, pag merong mga diskusyon, may mga tanungan. And parents, if you're listening this afternoon, yes po, parents, you have a very important role to play. Kasi nandiyan na, nasa bahay na po ang mga bata. Okay? Noon, nagbibilang po tayo ng hatian ng oras. Ano? Ngayon talagang nandiyan po sila sa bahay ngayon. You have an important role to play. Hindi po ano lang, hindi po yung, nagawa mo na, natapos mo, patingin, very good. Natapos mo ng sagutan. Ganon? Di bali wala na yung principle dito na children learn from each other, children learn from adults, children learn from interaction. Okay? And then magtataka tayo, ba't parang nakalimutan niya yung natutunan niya? Kasi baka wala namang interaction na nangyari. No? Sinigurado lang na natapos niya yung kanyang homework or assignment. So take note, interaction is so important. Huwag tayong makulitan pag nagtanong sila. Okay? At kung may idinugtong silang mahaba sa sinabi natin, huwag tayong makulitan. Alright, now, let's go to the next principle. It says here, children learn through active participation. Eto na. Okay? And then ang kasunod doon, children learn through play. So, in my next module, I will not be giving you, dear teachers, examples of what you will be making kasi kayo dapat yon. The teachers listening this afternoon will be the ones this time to use their critical thinking skills to come up with activities that are play-based to capture the whole being of the child. Pero ipapakita ko sa inyo yung prinsipyo kung bakit importante at malaki ang role na ginagampanan ng play sa learning process ng mga bata. Okay? So, all right, Miss Michelle, while I'm drinking a bit, lipat na natin sa next module, the play. Yan. Thank you so much, Miss Michelle. I hope to meet you one day. All right. Learn and play principles for child development in the primary levels. Actually, teachers, this cuts across ages, di ba? Kahit anong edad, itong mga theory na to, applicable ito. Okay? So, let's look at the nature of play first. Play, the characteristics of play. All right. Play is voluntary and intrinsically motivated. Yes. Matanong ko lang, dear parents, yung mga kids nyo ba sa bahay, no? Your kids first. Kailangan nyo bang pilitin maglaro? Hindi ba? Hindi, right? Parang nakakatawa yung tanong ni Teacher Claude. Because ganun ang nature ng play para sa kanila. It comes naturally. It's voluntary. Kailangan ba kayong magalit na, sabi ko maglaro ka, di ba? You don't say that, right? Baliktad, di ba? Baliktad. Okay. Because it's voluntary and intrinsically motivated. Take note. kung ano-ano pang mga motivation ang binibigay natin, no? We insert into our activities, motivations, like, I'm not saying that it's bad. Nagawa ko na rin yan, and sometimes I still do. May candy, may chocolate, that's okay. Personally, that's really a good motivation for me, for Teacher Claude. But, ang isang napaka-powerful na motivation sa kanila, dahil ito ang mundo nila, is play. Play is symbolic, meaningful, and transformational. Right, teachers? Symbolic. Remember, kahit ano, because children are active learners, grabe yung imagination nila, grabe yung pag-iisip nila. They can just imagine things. They can transform things into something that's alive. Although yan, hindi naman gumagalaw talaga. Mga objects lang yan. Okay? Ang remote control biglang naging telepono, or they can transform it into another object depending on their imagination. Play actively involves the players, who are the kids. And you can join in. Play is rule bound, lalo na yung mga play na kasama yung mga ano na doon, mga older kids. No? It's rule bound. Sometimes it has its own rules, or sometimes the kids themselves, sila yung nagbibigay ng mga rules for that play. And then play is pleasurable. Okay? But do you know that for children, play is actually work? When this module of Teacher Claudette this afternoon, when this is done, I hope, dear teachers and parents who are listening right now, I hope that your definition of play will change. It is my hope that when you think of play, you remove the word only and just. Oh, they're just playing. Please remove just. That's only play. Remove only. Hayaan mo yan, naglalaro lang sila. Remove lang. See? That's how we were brought up na parang ang play kung ano-ano lang. In fact, kung familiar kayo dito sa scenario na to sa bahay, di ba? Pwede kayong maglaro mamaya, basta tapusin mo muna yung inaaral mo. Nakalimutan natin na mas mapag-aaralan niya yan kung idadaan ninyo sa paraan ng laro. Of course, connected to what he is learning. Ginawa nating lang ang play. Ginawa nating parang after work activity. Nakalimutan na natin na that's actually the main approach. That's the main tool. Because that's the world of children. Yan ang mundo nila. Matanong ko kayo, dear parents. Ano yung kaya niyo, parents and teachers, what is that something that when you do that something, parang ayaw niyong tumigil kasi enjoy na enjoy kayo? What is it? Is it, I know there are some group of women, they love to do arts and crafts. They like to, ano ba yung gustong-gusto niyong gawin? No? Yung iba siguro na sporty, they like badminton. The others were musically inclined. Hindi mo mapatigil ng pagtugtog ng gitara or pagkanta. Why do you think it was so easy for you to engage in that activity and parang ayaw mong tumigil? Because it's pleasurable. Because it's something that you're good at. Because it's something that gives joy to you. See? See the analogy? Para maunawaan nyo kung ano ang play sa mga bata. Alright. Why is play important? Well, it enables children to make sense of their world. Sadly, pinipilit talaga natin, we force kids to make sense of their world through exclusive paper and pen. Oops. Wala mo nang magagalit. I'm not saying that it's bad. Paper and pen, workbooks, worksheets. No, I'm not saying that it's bad. Mamaya pagalitan ako ng Vibal. They're good. They're actually a good reinforcer. Uulitin ni Teacher Claude, reinforcers. To reinforce. To strengthen. Di very good pala yon. To strengthen. But not as the main tool when you're teaching concepts. To strengthen. To reinforce. But it, it says here that play enables children to make sense of their world. It didn't say na pag sumagot ka gamit ng paper and pen, they made sense of their world. No. Reinforcers lang. Okay? Don't, wag akong pagalitan ng rival. Okay. Play develops social and cultural understandings. Di ba? Teachers and parents, recall for a while. Di ba kaya natuto tayo sa environment natin, sa ating kultura, because of how we were brought up. I don't know how you were, meron bang makarelate sa akin? Hindi ba nagluluto-lutuan tayo noon? Hindi ba yung mga old tires, that's what we use for our swing? Naghukay din ba kayo noon? Nilagyan nyo ng water? Tapos that became river, ilog? Ang saya natin, di ba? Di ba ang dumi-dumi pa nga natin ng dungis? But guess what? Look at us now. Hindi ba natuto po tayo doon? We made sense of our world. Natutunan natin ang ating the social environment and our culture. Naggawa din ba kayo ng noon ng relo gamit ang dahon ng saging? I wish I can hear your answer. Nasubukan niyo bang gumawa ng yung santan ba na sip-sip niyo rin? Yeah, yung santan na bulaklak na halaman? Hindi ba? It allows children to express thoughts and feelings. Minsan nga, dear parents and teachers, nahihiya sila kasi when there are grown-ups and then they're playing, whatever age nahihiya sila because some grown-ups, like mock them, totoo, laugh at them. So that's not, you're not allowing children to express their thoughts and feelings, but through play, they're able to do that. Yes. I will really not forget one of my students before. I still can remember her until now. Of course, I won't say the name. They were playing during free play. Ang free play po, ang ibig sabihin na maglaro lang kayo basta-basta, no. They are free to select an area kung saan nila gusto pumunta. Pwede sa dramatics corner, pwede sa blocks corner, sa arts corner, okay? So, nandun siya sa dramatics corner, and at that time, parang office yung arrangement ng dramatics corner. And then I was behind her. Hindi niya alam na nandun ako, and nandun din yung aking co-teacher because it was team teaching. And sabi niya, kinuha niya yung phone. Tapos sabi niya, hello, Inday. Si Sir mo. Tapos, syempre nagulat ako, no? But we were just observing. And then, she said, wala pa ba? Sige, okay lang. Baka na-traffic lang yon. Ganun yung kanyang talaga expression, na. Inday, ipakibaba mo nga yung karne sa freezer para pag dumating ako, malambot na. Then, binalik niya yung phone. So, what is that? Dear teachers and parents, it's her thoughts, her feelings expressed through play. Napakaganda, di ba? Rather than umupo lang sila ng ilang oras, ng mahabang oras, nakaupo lang, sagot ng sagot, sagot ng sagot, at sagot ng sagot. I hope at this point, you are beginning to grasp and understand what Teacher Claude is saying. Okay? I'm not trying to criticize whatever approach. I'm not trying to put down traditional approach. What I'm saying is that this is the world of children. Gusto ba nating matuto sila sa pamamaraan sa kanilang pamamaraan? Their own way, their own nature. Well, if yes, then we agree. Teacher Claude and her viewers, nag-agree tayo ngayon. All right. What else? Why is play important? It fosters flexible and divergent thinking. Kaya nga, di ba? Ayaw natin sila na puro lang, opo, hindi po. And then we ask something, and then they give the answer. Ayaw natin na limited lang sa ganon. No. Play fosters flexible and divergent thinking. Okay? It provides opportunities to meet and solve real problems. Yes, we want them to develop a critical thinking skills. We want our students and children to have the, I'm sure narinig nyo na to, di ba? To develop their adversity quotient. Narinig nyo yan kasi lately, nagte-trend yan sa mga ano eh. Nasa meme yan eh, na alam na natin yun about IQ and the EQ, but there's another very important quotient and it's AQ. You know, how they react during adversity pag may mga problema silang na-encounter, of course according to their age. Pag may mga challenges silang na-encounter, how do they react? Uupo na lang ba at iiyak? How do they bounce back? Sa ano to, sa play. Nag-iisip sila, di sige ganito na lang gawin natin. Naririnig niyo sila, no? How they solve their problem. Sige, lagyan natin ng tubig para lalong mahalo natin yung ice cream. Alala ko yung mga students ko trying to make ice cream sundae for Teacher Claude. Buhangin at saka tubig. Hindi nila ma-mix so may maglalagay ng tubig. Parang sa atin mababaw. But you see, these are things, these are already ways na nag-iisip sila. Anong umaandar doon? Akala natin play lang? Take note. Cognitive domain. So I'm looking at the pictures and I see kids playing patintero. Now, I'm not saying, baka ang tanong niyo, so Teacher Claude, doon sa module namin, ilagay din namin patintero. Not necessarily. It depends. That's why you have to think of things that is play-based, that's connected to your lesson. Okay? Sa patintero, naglalaro lang ba sila? Ha? Is it just papawis or ano lang, parang wala lang? No. The cognitive domain is moving. Alam nyo bang nag-iisip sila paano mahuli yung kalaban? Okay, alam nyo bang nag-iisip ano yung nasa gilid, patotot ba yon? Nag-iisip siya paano hindi makadaan, iniisip na niya sino dito yung mabilis sa kalaban at meron na siyang strategy na ginawa. Galing! That is already solving problems sa level nila. So that eventually when they grow up, they know what to do. Okay? I'm looking at my slide. There's a picture of a boy pretending to be a superhero. I remember when I was in elementary, I really idolized Wonder Woman. I was Wonder Woman. I loved Wonder Woman. I made my own costume. Hindi pa uso noon yung mga ready-made costumes, no? Wala nun. 'Di ba ngayon, pag mga kung ano-anong event, we go out, we buy, wala pa noon. I made my own. Gumawa ako ng sarili kong tiara, may star para hindi ako mabaril. Pati yung ano ko, anong tawag doon? The wristband or gumawa ako ng sarili ko and suot ako ng tights and over that nagsuot ako ng shorts. And I was Wonder Woman. Ako naggawa ng sarili kong nakasakay ako sa scooter. I don't know bakit scooter yung sinakyan ko. We think. You know what I see now? Most of the toys that we have, it minimizes the practice of critical thinking skills. Pag press mo, may sound. Pag press mo, aandar. Pag press mo, iikot, iiba yung sound. Ano kaya mas maganda kung sila yung gagawa ng sound? Iisipin nila paano. We used to do that, right? Di ba? Kung malapit na siyang matumba or mahulog, di ba parang kunyari nanginginig-ginig. Wala, we live in a society na press, push button. Play provides opportunities. Play develops language and literacy skills and concepts. They write, they speak sa maraming paraan. Alam nyo ba that creative storytelling can be converted or can be extended through play? Okay? So, maraming pwedeng gawin sa play. And we are not aware that children are learning much, are learning a whole lot through play. Why is that so? Bakit hindi tayo aware? Because kahit tayo mismo yung nakaranas ng, we experience the richness of play, but it never occurred in our minds that play is actually the main vehicle or approach or tool in learning. Okay? Para bang ang learning na equate natin talaga palagi sa maupo ka dyan, magsulat ka, magbasa ka, huwag kang tatayo hanggat hindi ka tapos. Yun lang ba? Limited ang learning? Oh, well, nangyari na nga ang nangyari. Di ba we always say learning? Learning is not exclusive within the four walls of the classroom. It's happening now. Maybe four or more walls of the house. Ang dami, no? And for those who have area for outdoor, ibig sabihin kahit saan po learning can occur. Pwede talaga siyang mangyari. As long as you enter the world of children. What is that world? Play, or in Filipino, Laro, laro. All right. So we go to the next slide. Play contributes to children's holistic development. Under cognitive development, they learn problem solving. Remember na sinabi ko kanina yan, di ba? And then they have mental planning. Inaano na yan sila na nag-i-studio kung anong gagawin nila. Then they have self-monitoring. Nakakatuwa. Kaya lang, alam nyo, teachers and parents, gusto talaga natin, we are the ones in charge always of their play. So these things are not possible pag tayo palagi ang in charge. I know that there are child-led play. Meron namang teacher-led. Pero make it naman in a balanced way where these things under cognitive development are also developed. What else? Imagination. Ayaw natin ng gano'n, ano? Madalas kinakagalitan pa yung batang hindi makakonsentrate sa school or sa klase kasi sinasabihan natin na, lumilipad na naman yung isip mo. And then you know what? I think we all realize that that particular child na lumilipad ang isip, fast forward ngayon. Teachers, kung na-meet ninyo ngayon na malalaki na or matatanda na yung mga students ninyo, hindi po ba yung isang sinasaway ninyo na lumilipad ang isip? He is doing well right now. She is doing well right now. She is successful in what she does. Why? Because lumilipad yung isip niya noon. Because imagination was so evident. And imagination will pave the way for a strong cognitive domain. Pero hindi, di ba? Gusto natin yung talaga, behave, makinig lang, sumunod lang kung anong sasabihin ni teacher, mag-yes lang, no? Yes teacher and no teacher. See? And evaluation. They are able to evaluate. Talaga, Teacher Claude, yeah. Kahit mga bata yan, through play. Alam nila mag-evaluate. O sige, tama na yan. Tama na yan. Huwag na nating dagdagan ng blocks. Baka matumba pa yan mamaya eh. Ayan, ito, idagdag mo dito para lalong tumayo siya at balanced. Di ba? Ang galing nila, no? So, we're slowly discovering the world of play. And let's go to the next slide, please. How about language development? In language development, there's communication, there's forms and functions, and purposeful verbal interactions, and play with language. Nakakatuwa. If we just recall, dear parents, how were we before? And I hope that your children, your students are still given a chance to develop their language through play. Have you ever watched a group of kids play yung restaurant? Sir, can I take your orders? Tapos magsasabi yung isa, tapos may tagalista. Diba? And, okay lang. Nagsimula ba siya sa invented spelling? That's okay. Hayaan mo dahil eventually matututo siya. But nandun yung interest. ng pagsulat at pag-form ng word. Bakit? Kasi yan ang mundo niya play. Meron akong kilalang bata. Meron siyang ginawa noon na The Spicy Restaurant. Tapos gumawa siya ng menu niya na sarili. Lahat spicy. Spicy ice cream, spicy spaghetti. Did you know that ang spelling ng spicy niya ay S-P-A-Y-S-Y? Spicy. But it's okay. Had Teacher Claude corrected her, hindi na siguro tumuloy ng pagsulat yon. Kasi pinatay ko na kaagad yung kanyang, yung gana na magsulat through play, through laro. So, that's it. And then they form their own words. That play widens their vocabulary. Ang daming nadadagdag sa kanilang vocabulary. Alam niyo ba, dear teachers, na natuto ako ng math ko? Well, part of my mathematics, I learned through my lola. Siya ang nag-i-initiate ng play namin. Pinapabenta niya kami ng isda. Hindi po real isda. Nagka-cut out po siya ng mga pieces of papers shaped like a fish. And then pinapabenta niya sa amin. And then nagka-cut out siya ng bills. Sinusulatan niya ng figures, ng numbers. Claudette, ito ha. Ingat ka. Baka kulang yung isukli mo. Or baka kulang yung ibayad sa'yo. Ganyan, pinapabenta niya. Ako doon lang din sa amin. That's how I learned. And I'm sorry, I have to say this. I always say this. But this is for all, no? I have a negative attitude for math. I have fear for math. And it has something to do with teacher factor. I know a lot are watching right now kasi live ito. That's all right. Natuto din naman ako sa aking experience. So at least now I'm a teacher, I'm a professor. I am able to share with you that teacher factor is important. Kasi kung ano po yung impression na nabaon sa isang estudyante o sa bata, madadala niya na yon. Ba't ko binanggit to? Because a part of my math I learned from my lola through play. Magbabayad, susuklian, yung mga ganyan. But the big part of it, of course, I learned the hard way in school. You know, getting embarrassed. Sumagot ka, mali. Tapos, sasabihan ka na yung class, kung may mga tanong, magtanong kayo. Ngayon that I ask the question, masasabihan ka ng with glaring eyes. Hindi ka ba nakikinig? Kanina pa ako dito, blah, 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 blah. And my students, they're listening right now. My students, whether in the college or graduate class, a lot of them are listening right now and watching. You know this already. Hindi ba? What did I do? I promised myself. I vowed. I won't ask again kahit na hindi ko naintindihan. I'm old now. I'm a golden girl. Nadala ko yung attitude na yun. And math is closely related to technology. Really, it's one of the reasons why I can't easily grasp pag ang pinag-aaralan na ay technology because of that. And it is my hope and prayer that soon, by the grace of God, I will be able to overcome this. You know, I'm a teacher. But at the same time, salamat na rin sa experience kasi nasi-share ko to sa mga kaguruan na na dapat tayo po ang inspirasyon, dear teachers. We are teachers. We should inspire our students. Hindi tayo yung nauna pang to destroy their lives by, causing trauma. So until now, I carry that fear for math. And then it says here, literacy development. For literacy development, I think that's the next slide, Miss Michelle. Thank you. They develop interest in stories, knowledge of story structure, and story comprehension, understanding fantasy in books. This is very important, no? Yung understanding fantasy in books. So teachers and parents, we also have to make them understand that it's pretend, while their imagination is, it stretches their imagination. They should also know that it's pretend. Hindi talaga sila si Superman. After your play, kunyari ako, 'di ba, when I was a little kid, ang gusto akala ko ako si uh, I wanted to be Wonder Woman. But I understood after my play na back to Claudette ako. Okay? So we have to make children understand that, understanding fantasy in books, use of symbols to represent their world. How rich, no, yung play, napakaganda. And it widens their vocabulary. You see dun sa slide, no, there's a baby, there's a toddler, and beside him is the mommy. They're calling each other, pero kung kahit ano-ano lang, not necessarily phone yung kanilang pinick up, di ba? And you see a picture there of girls wearing crowns. Di ba? The ladies. You remember when you were little ones and you used to make your own paper dolls? I wish I can hear your replies from, from different places. Maganda rin. We bought paper dolls also. I'm sure bumili din kayo. Pero ano yung best? Ano yung pinaka-love natin na paper dolls? The ones that we made, remember? And then we would give names. And then we would make their clothes. And we would dress them up. And we would be the ones to give them lines for conversations. Aba, dear teachers, who knows? Yung mga students ninyo na magaling gumawa ng lines sa pretend play. Who knows? Years from now, they will be sila pala yung mga magagaling na authors or writers, script writers, storybook authors. Okay? And that belongs to the verbal linguistic intelligence. How about social development? This is important. I'm sorry, I'll take a sip for a while. Social development. It's so sad that this is hardly practiced nowadays. I don't know if you agree with me. I don't know how social development can be practiced when most of their plays are solitary or parallel. I'll be explaining that later. And di ba, parents and teachers, hawak nilang gadget, mag-isa sila, sometimes magkatabi sila, pero wala namang pakialaman, right? Please, dear parents, let's not make this pandemic or quarantine an excuse na para ibigay na lang. Kasi wala siyang gagawin. Kasi, bakit wala siyang gagawin? Even naman before nung pandemic, di ba maraming pwedeng gawin? Kahit naman wala pa yung pandemic, talagang binibigay sa kanila yan. Which one? The gadget. What for? I don't know. Bakit yung binibigay? For to keep quiet? Or siguro to stop the meltdown? To stop the tantrums? Para siyang prize. Para siyang, alam niyo yung sa behaviorist, sige, ito na yung yung iPad para mag-stop, tumigil ka na para you stop crying. So, nangyayari ba ito? Itong mga nababasa nyo ngayon sa slide ko na negotiating rules, wala. Kasi once they encounter an adversity or an emotional dilemma, bibigyan ka agad sila ng tablet. But in actual play, under social development, children learn to negotiate roles. Di ba? Hindi pwedeng, makikita mo dyan may leader dyan, and then may mag-emerge na leader. Hindi, ako naman, kanina ka pa Ako naman yung dito, ako naman yung doktor. Or, sige, ako naman dito yung magta-traffic muna, yung ganyan. may isa din akong hindi makalimutan na experience. I was observing during free play one girl na napakalakas ng boses niya. Nang ano siya sumisigaw, nang uutos. Oh, sabi niya, kasi sa housekeeping area, parang bahay talaga yun eh. May lababo, may mga pinggan, etc., etc. And then she was giving orders. Malakas ang boses. Twice I called her attention. Sabi ko, excuse me, pwedeng pakihinaan lang kasi hindi lang ikaw ang naglalaro. Yung mga classmates mo, yung sa blocks area, yung sa art corner, naririnig ka nila, no? Twice hindi niya ako pinansin. Nung pangatlong saway ko na, sabi ko, excuse me, anong sabi natin? Hindi ka na maglalaro dahil pangatlong remind ko na ito. And then, sabi niya sa akin, hindi ko ito makalimutan, teachers, until now. Sabi niya, teacher, lakas ng boses niya. Teacher, ate ako dito sa laro na to, ako yung ate. Hindi ko makuha, hindi ko magets. Ganun talaga, Teacher Claudette, ang mga ate naninigaw. Well, true enough. Yung child lang na yun, yung ate niya. Ate. Of course, not all ates, di ba? It just so happens sa kanya, naninigaw yung ate niya. Malakas ang boses. The roles that they play during their the free play, the roles that they encounter. All right, they learn to wait for their turn. They learn to share. Okay? If they're doing arts and crafts, or if in their play they need to use scissors to cut or whatever, then wait. O kaya baka isa lang yung corona, share kayo dyan, wait for your turn. Hindi ko na yan nakikita ngayon. Karamihan, gusto nila sila ang nauna. And you know what, dear teachers and parents, ang mga madalas nakikita ko ngayon, gusto nila sila yung winner palagi. Umiiyak na yan, kasi natalo. Why? It's okay. But teacher, I'm the loser. It's all right. We're going to play again. Who knows? You will be the winner this time. Wow, wanna be the winner the first time. Bakit kaya naging ganun yung mga natin, mga bata, mga students and mga kids natin? Hindi makatanggap ng pagkatalo. Alala ko nung tayo nung di okay lang. Natalo ka, di okay lang. May mga parusa pa nga tayo, di ba? Ano nga yung laro, langit lupa ba yon, or touch and yung hindi ka makagalaw, di okay, mag-antay ka hanggang na-touch ka ulit, pwede kang gumalaw. The meantime, diyan ka muna. Mag-antay ka, di ba? Para kang statwa. Ganun talaga. But because of the type of play most of the kids are playing with now, I don't know, dear parents and teachers, talagang I see it, nahirapan silang tumanggap ng pagkatalo. Dito kasi sa play natututo sila how to live life eventually. In their world, ito yung mundo nila ngayon, yung play. And then they experience others' points of view. Yeah, so one time, kasi palit-palit sila ng role, so they get to experience others' point of view. One time, one of my students doon sila sa dramatics area, may muffled sound akong narinig. And then nung nakalabas na siya sa blanket, pumunta siya sa amin ng co-teacher ko. It was a team teaching class. At nagsumbong siya. Sabi niya, teacher, muntik na akong namatay. Tapos naglitanya na siya, nagalit siya, pinagalitan niya mga classmates niya. Yung pala, binalot siya sa blanket because, I don't know, nakulitan sila sa kanya and he always does that to them. So parang bumaliktad, no? Pinaramdam nila sa kanya how it felt. Binalot siya sa blanket kasi yung area na yon, yung dramatics area, para siyang naka-arrange into a clinic or hospital. So may blanket nung time na yun. Kaya yan ang nakakamiss ngayong walang face to face. You know, the scenario, the things happening in the learning areas, yan ang mamimiss ko at mamimiss nyo. Diba? All right. So experiment with roles of people. So that's social development. And how about emotional development? Emotional development, they simplify events by creating an imaginary character or setting. Kaya dyan, they They create an imaginary character or situation. Ang galing nila, di ba? Kala mo, iisipin mo, wala silang kausap. Sino kausap niya? Parang wala naman, but they pretend. They pretend, and then compensating for situations. They make a way. Di ba? Kung walang upuan, kung walang sasakyan, they compensate for situations. They can do it. Controlling emotional expression. Through play, they learn to manage their emotions. Avoiding adverse consequences by pretending another character. Okay? So, talunan siya, talunan. And now, he pretends to be, siya yung the stronger person or the hero para maranasan niya rin na hindi siya talunan dun sa scenario na yon, dun sa imaginary play na yon. Napakaganda. Of course, when we talk about physical development, let's not forget the two aspects that Teacher Claude shared a while ago, gross motor skills and fine motor skills. Well, nasa bahay sila ngayon. Ganito na lang, dear teachers and parents, be creative with whatever they have. You can do things, with whatever they have. Doon na lang sa bahay. Okay? Kayang magawa ng paraan yan. Kung gusto, may paraan, di ba? Kung ayaw, may dahilan. Alam natin yan. So, kailangan ma-enhance pa rin, not because it's quarantine or lockdown, wala tayong gagawin. No. Kailangan po ma-enhance pa rin ang gross motor skills. Remember, the large muscles and the fine motor skills. And please, I'm not even talking about the gadgets, the swiping. Pwede yon, bigyan nyo ng time. Okay? When you create, teachers, when you create modules or activities or a routine, balance yan. No? So, kung may time for that, may time for fine motor skills, for gross motor skills, may time for a quiet activity, and for somehow a noisy activity, that's really good. Okay? And then we have here the developmental stages of cognitive play. In the next slide, there's functional play from the word function, and of course, symbolic play, and there's constructive play. Now you construct, and there are games with rules. Ako, personally, I like functional play, and lahat naman to symbolic play. Sino ba sa atin ang hindi dumaan sa lutu-lutuan na play, di ba, before? And but I really would say that siguro ako as a person and as a child and as a teacher, I really, really appreciate constructive play. From the word construct or build. That's why I appreciate open-ended play or open-ended materials. Like what? Paper is an open-ended material. You can crumple it, you can fold it, you can tear it, you can cut it. Dough is an open-ended material. I love the dough. Okay? It's for fine motor skills, which is responsible eventually for holding a writing material. So yung mga dati na yung mga ibang parents pag dumaan sa window, bayan, araw-araw na lang. Yung Play-Doh ang kanilang ginagawa or nagdo-drawing or color or painting, but it's okay. They don't understand that we are after the strengthening of fine motor skills. So eventually, they can have a firm grip of their writing material. Kaya lang ginamit na naman natin yung word na lang, di ba? Ano ba yan? Laro na lang ng laro, ng Play-Doh. Okay? So, lahat ng ginagawa nila, there's a purpose. All right. So I think the next slide is it the levels of social play? There's an occupied behavior. Now, this is according to ages. So, an occupied behavior would be yung wala lang, yung makikita nyo lang, nakaupo. Usually sa mga babies, to hawak lang ng rattle, hawak ng marakas, pa sound lang dyan. And then the onlooker behavior. Usually, toddlers, 1.5, 2, they would be there, but they're not joining. But it seems they're interested. Nanonood sila. And then we have the solitary play. Diba? I made mention about this a while ago. Solitary play. Solo. He or she plays alone. And then umaangat yan ng level. Nagiging na. Remember that these are levels of social play. Next would be parallel play. Magkatabi. Parehong naglalaro. But the play of child A has nothing to do with the play of child B. ewan ko ba, sa atin, parents and teachers, no, tayo talaga yung gusto talaga natin, parang pag-play, masaya, nag-uusap, 'di ba? Kayo ba naalala niyo 'yun or na-experience niyo 'yun? Yung 'pag nasa party or nasa play place, kayo yung gusto mo talaga na kunyari, "Ay naku, Jamie, Jamie, oh, this is Rita, come on, usap kayo. Ayan, sige, shake hands, best friends na kayo. Laro kayo, laro kayo." Bakit niyo ba pinipilit? Eh, ayaw pa bakit niyo pinipilit? Eh, gusto nila parallel play lang, eh. Ay naku, talaga naman, oh. Parang what if tayo na lang kaya yung sumama doon at maglaro dahil gusto natin si pinipilit natin na maglaro sila. Hindi nga, I'm serious. Gano'n tayo palagi, nakakainis. Okay. And then of course, yung pinakamataas na level is cooperative play. They cooperate. Nag-uusap na talaga wait, associative play muna, no? So they associate with each other. Meron ng kinalaman yung laro nila sa isa't isa, and then cooperative play. Ano na yan, lumalaki na yung group nila pagka naglalaro. See? So these are the levels of social play. And as you can see, dear parents, if we focus on the world of children, which is play, kasi I understand that most of the audience now, because of the title of my talk, has something to do with children, ages I think 5 or 6 until 8, third grade probably, ang primary. It's really play. Actually, kung ako lang if I had a choice, kung pwedeng tuloy-tuloy ang play, eh. And then siguro ang reaction niyo ngayon, "Teacher, pwede ba 'yun? Siyempre 'pag matatatanda na, hindi na 'yan play." Ibang form lang. Nag-iba lang ng form. But of course, I'm not talking about play na babalik ulit sila dun sa magluto-luto or maggulong-gulong or magdumi. Of course, nag-aano din, nag-evolve din ang play natin. Kahit nga tayo, we are the things that we're doing now is actually a form of play. Yeah. I belong to this community, a barter community in our place. Alam mo, I view it as play. Nakakatuwa. It's voluntary. Lahat ng concepts na pinag-usapan natin kanina, present. May tumulak ba sa'yo para gawin yon? Wala. It's voluntary, it's pleasurable. I enjoy doing it. I go out, I ride a trike, I go out to meet my kabarter. Diba? Parang kung tutuusin, ano ba, Claude? Parang waste of your time. Sana, hindi waste of my time. Natuwa ako, I gained friends. I feel the thrill of exchange. Nakakatuwa, para kaming nag-exchange gift. So, I'll drink first. Sorry. So, who among you this afternoon will say, that play is only for little kids? Hindi. Hindi exclusive siya for little kids. Kung titingnan mo yung nature niya, it cuts across ages. Pero syempre, nag-iiba lang ng form. Di ba? Dear teachers, so ngayon, naka-online tayo. Hindi ba, how do you meet your friends now? Through Zoom, right? Right? Well, I can't hear your answer, pero sana naririnig ko kayo. Hindi ba pagka nag-zoom kayo, and may friend kayo na may birthday, hindi ba, well, I hope, kasi kami ginagawa namin to, hindi ba you prepare food, tapos sabay-sabay din kayong umiinom, kumakain. Hindi ba it's the nature, that particular nature is play. Tapos yung isa niyong kasama, kahit adults na kayo, yung isa niyong kasama, may dalang, may torotot siya, yung isa siguro may, I don't know kung anong iniinom niya, soft drinks or whatever. But the thing is, you're having fun. May nagpilit sa'yo? No. It's intrinsic. It's intrinsically motivated. It's voluntary. It's pleasurable. Why? Because it's play in another form. So you can very well do it, teachers. Your lessons, your concepts, think pleasurable, think intrinsically motivated. Okay? Think voluntary. And what will capture the attention of kids? What will make them do it? What can engage your students in doing it? Kahit mga instructions nyo sa module can be it can be in the nature of play. Kaya minsan, no, we cannot blame them eh. Kaya pinipilit natin silang maupo for a long time. O pag pinipilit, walang intrinsic doon. Eh, hindi ko naman sinasabi na hindi na sila uupo. They will. But please put an aspect of balance. And don't forget their world. What is their world? Play. Ano ang mundo nila? Laro. They're not being makulit pag naglalaro sila. No. N-O, no. That is their world. Okay? So at this time, Miss Michelle, I'm excited to hear the questions or the thoughts of the teachers and parents.
Ayan. Thank you po, Teacher Claude. Now we proceed po with our question and answer.
Yes.
First question po, Teacher, from Miss Marisa Zabal. Tama po bang tanungin ang bata kung ano ang gusto niyang gawin at hayaang ipaliwanag kung bakit yun ang gusto niyang gawin?
Time out ah. Tama ba na tama, what is that again, Miss Michelle?
Tama po bang tanungin ang bata kung ano ang gusto niyang gawin at hayaan ipaliwanag kung bakit yun ang gusto niyang gawin?
Okay. Yes, Miss Marisa, is that right, Michelle?
Yes po.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Miss Marisa, tama. Take note, pwedeng anong gusto niyang gawin, but according to the ages. So, if I were you, yung question na yan, bigyan natin ng parameters. Let's give choices. All right, kunyari, the name of the child is, let's say, Jason. All right, Jason, here are 3 tasks or 4. Ano yung gustong gawin mo dito at bakit? It's all right. It's kasi Miss Marisa, as they are growing, gusto din natin ma-enhance yung kanilang decision-making skills. Kasi di ba ayaw nga natin na ano sila, robot? Ayaw natin yon. So yeah, but put parameters dun sa choices.
Thank you po, Teacher Claude.
Yeah, thank
Second
you.
question po from Mr. Andre Buen Consejo.
Okay.
Question po, Madam. With the advent of technology, does the definition of play has changed? And how can we able to make children be more active by using or embracing technology?
All right. Sir Andre, is that correct?
Yes po.
Thank you. Sir Andre, hindi po magbabago ang definition ng play. It's up to the teachers and parents. How are they going to implement it? Earlier, I mentioned, siguro, no, baka madaming hindi nakarinig or siguro humabol pa lang. Earlier, I mentioned, let this not be an excuse, this pandemic. I'm using my phone now. We're using phone, iPad, laptop, kung ano man. We are using that because of online classes. It's a window, okay? It's a window where the child can see his teacher and vice versa, and they communicate. But it doesn't mean that it's the main tool for learning. And that's the very reason why before the module of play, I went through the principles of child development and learning. Because while we are doing online learning and while there's pandemic, hindi po nagbabago ang principles of child development and principles of learning. They remain the same. All domains should be interrelated. All senses should be moving or touched, probably not at the same time. And we know that's not possible when we give the kids gadget. Importante ang gadget ngayon. Kasi nga, uulitin ko lang ha, siguro think of the word window. Kasi para sa akin, I say, praise God for technology. Nandito tayong lahat sa bahay natin and we are having this webinar. Pero ito po ay para sa akin ito ay isang window, isang bintana na para nakikita nyo ako at actually hindi ko kayo nakikita. How I wish nakikita ko kayo. But just think about your kids, think about your students. Ito ay isang window. But hindi po ibig sabihin na ang kanilang mga tasks ay dito manggagaling. Probably for a short time. Maybe there's a short film clip or may kanta na doon kukunin. But really, nothing can exchange the nature of play and the hands-on. The learning by doing and learning through play na actual, walang makakapagpalit doon. Wala.
Thank you po, Teacher Claude. Next question po from Miss Cyril Daitaka. How is the approach, ma'am, if a pupil spelled wrong? For me, not to kill the enthusiasm of that kid in language development.
All right. Ma'am, kasi madaming dapat i-consider, no? Ilang taon na yung bata na nagkamali sa spelling? Pangalawa, unang beses lang ba to o na-observe mo na, she has been doing this? So, two questions yun. Yung una, yung age. Kasi ako as an early childhood educator, di ba yung sinabi ko kanina na may sequence yan, may pattern. Ibig sabihin, we don't expect a child to spell correctly right away. Tayo man dumaan sa ganon, invented spelling. Now, pagka ma'am, pinutol natin yung kaagad by saying na, nako, mali yun, hindi pa rin siya magsa-stop, naglalaro pa rin siya. But sa kakaganon natin, mawawala ng gana yung bata eh. And the next time around, she doesn't want to engage in pretend play anymore. She doesn't want to write anymore. Why? Ay, ayoko nga. Baka mamaya mali. Naging sigurista na yung bata. Kaya ma'am, Ma'am Cyril, yung nag-question, it really depends, no? Sabihin ko sa inyo, it depends on the ages, and it depends on the frequency or actually hindi frequency eh. Parang nung pinakita niya ito, matagal na ba? Ngayon mo lang ba nakita? Or noon pa? And then we go back to developmental milestone. We go back. Kasi, syempre, minsan po, may mga red flags na talaga. That's why it's important that we have a copy of the developmental milestones. Ano naman siya? Downloadable naman po. Ilagay nyo lang po sa search bar, developmental milestone, and then you put the age of the child.
Thank you po, Teacher Claude. Next
Thank
question po from Miss Leia Agustin. You say that kids are intrinsically motivated to play. Paano naman po ang mga bata na puro play na lang ang ginawa at don't like to engage in some educational activities? Thank you po.
All right, thank you. Well, gusto kong malaman actually anong ibig sabihin ng educational activities. Ayan, nilagyan natin ng ng title. Siguro ang ibig sabihin ni ma'am yung parang nakaupo, actually ma'am, educational activity, 'di ba, yung nagsusulat. Alam niyo ba na habang nagte-take sila ng order doon sa play, it will eventually lead to pagsusulat. Pero nandun yung thrill, no? So hindi na tayo mahirapan by the time na we ask them to sit down and write kasi nasanay na sila. I'll take your order, ma'am. Or kahit na hindi restaurant. Sa ibang laro na kailangan magsulat, ako po yung gagawa ng ticket. Ticket para sa, meron akong alam na isang bata, namimiss na niya going to the movies with her parents. Tapos siya yung gumawa ng movie night sa bahay nila. And then, siya din ang gumawa ng ticket. Sinulat niya. So actually, ma'am, it's wag nating gawing magkalaban ng dalawa. Yung play na ginagawa niya ngayon is actually leading to an enriched set of educational activities. And doon naman, ma'am, sa concern mo na baka gusto niyo lang palagi takbo-takbo and okay, everyone listen. It's really up to the teachers, the parents, kung ano yung instruction doon sa module to put a set routine. Yung routine po na tinatawag, that's important. A balance between active and not active, no? Hindi all the time nagtatatakbo sila, no? Hindi yun ang sinabi ni Teacher Claude. Hindi all the time maingay sila at nag-uusap, otherwise, they won't understand each other. Wala na yung listening skills. Balance, nandun. Ako, I'm so particular with routine. Kasi doon po pumapasok yung discipline eh. I'm so particular with a routine. And being consistent with a routine. Huwag naman masyadong structured, no? I have to be flexible but consistent. Ironic, ano ba yun? Contradictory? Not really. But I'll give you an example. If it says ang storytelling time, let's say mga 15 minutes, and I see grouchy na yung bata, pagod, nakita ko na parang, halimbawa lang to ha, yung routine pag bedtime, nakita kong tulog na siya, talagang gigisingin ko, hindi ako papayag, op, wait muna, idilat mo ang mata, hindi pa ako tapos. Ang sabi dito, 15 minutes talaga ang story time. We also have to be flexible. Kaya ano po yan, ma'am, it's up to you po ano yung routine na isa-set ninyo. No, they will not be rowdy all the time. Hindi po pwede.
Okay, thank you po, Teacher Claude. Last question po from Miss Cheat Aquino. Ma'am, what is the best way to do on how to make sure that the child is already doing her job in playing activities at home, although the mode of learning delivery modality is modular?
How? I'm sorry, Miss Michelle. What's the first part again?
And what is the best way to do on how to make sure that the child is already doing her job in playing activities at home, although
Yes.
mode of learning delivery modality
All right.
modular po.
Oh, so nasa ano 'yon? Nasa ano 'yon, teacher? So pwede 'yon. Yung sa lesson plan mismo nakaakibat 'yon. If you want to, let's say, no, halimbawa lang, kasi I don't know exactly, iba-iba kayo ng lessons. If you want to develop the skill of matching, for example lang to, then, kung meron na sa workbook ng ganyan, wag muna yon. Ang pag-introduce nyo muna, siguro you have cups na binaliktad ninyo, and then may mga objects kayo doon, you know that game po, right? And then you open one, match ba? O, so pag match na, dito na yan. And then, dito, ay hindi pa match, ibalik mo. Pero, may isang skill pa siya na na-develop, yung retention, yung memory, kasi tatandaan niya ngayon na, tatandaan ko, hindi match itong dalawang to. So, magta-try siya, pero tinandaan niya na. You see? So, yun ma'am, it's a one way of actually, you are teaching her, pero ang pamamaraan mo, ginawa mong laro, and then, you will reinforce that. Dito na ngayon papasok ang to strengthen, to reinforce. So, nandun na ngayon yan sa inyong hinanda na module or worksheet na matching, no? Match things in, parang for example, in column A, and look at the things in column B, and then you match the similar or whatever. So, ayun po ma'am, no? Kaya talaga siyang gawin. Or kunyari, ang lesson ninyo about order, from the shortest to the tallest. So may instruction kayo dun sa inyong, sa inyong module na, kunyari, get a batch of dough, lay dough, and then mag-form sila ma'am ng mga, for example, mga tao, and then arrange them from shortest to tallest. Okay? Doon makikita natin, ang galing. Kasi natuto yung bata. Because yung actual mismo, yung actual na pamamaraan was done through play. Kasi kung ang ibibigay po natin kaagad yung papel, okay, no? Identify which one is the shortest and the tallest. Kaya 'di ba madalas po, it's either nawawala ng gana ang bata or ginawa niya, may takot siya. Kasi naniniguro siya, naku baka mali ako. So chances are the next time, hindi niya na po yun gagawin. Kayang-kaya po. In fact, mas enjoy po ito. Nagkataon lang kasi, no, teachers, it's okay at first, parang naninibago kayo. Kasi ito po yung nakasanayan natin eh. Nakasanayan po kasi natin na the things that we put in our teaching learning plan, yung talagang structured kaagad, nasulat kaagad, sagot kaagad. Okay. Yeah. Meron po akong isang favorite na kwento. Last na lang to, Teacher Michelle. Para lang to drive my point, okay? Hindi po ito sa akin personal, pero sa isang teacher na a friend of mine, a teacher who listened to my lecture. It was a teacher training seminar. And sabi niya, Teacher Claude, can I share something? Kasi parang nagigilty or natuto ako sa lecture mo. Ang lesson yata sense of smell, no? Tapos ang binigay kaagad worksheets na may mga pictures doon, tapos ang instruction, bilugan ang mga mabangong bagay, lagyan ng X ang mga mabangong bagay. And yung mga bata, nag-work kaagad. Alam niyo, yung mga bata, yun nga ayaw natin sana sila maging passive learners. Pero may isang bata doon na she was looking around, making sure nobody was looking at her. Pero syempre hindi niya alam, nakatingin pala yung teacher. Tapos nakita siya ng teacher na inangat niya yung worksheet niya, yung papel. Tapos isa-isa, inamoy niya yung objects and sabi ng teacher, ano ba tong ginagawa niya? And then nagsabi siya, teacher, excuse me po, may sasabihin po ako, huwag kayong magagalit. Nakita niyo, dear teachers, dyan pa lang sa introduction ng bata, bakit siya nagsabi na may sasabihin po ako, huwag kayong magagalit? Parang nakita natin yung scenario sa mga class na pag nagsalita ang student, nakakagalitan talaga ng mga guro. So sabi ng teacher, sige, ano yon? Sabi niya, kasi po, teacher, inamoy ko naman po. Wala po talaga akong maamoy na mabango, pero hindi din po mabaho. And of course, preschooler to, talagang bata pa yung edad. And then I asked her, I said, okay, so ano pala yung dapat gawin? And then she said, well, teacher, after listening to your lecture, I now understand na sana nung araw na yon, because I was introducing the sense of smell, mas masaya kung naglaro kami ng game at kung nagdala ako ng sari-saring mga bagay like balat ng dalandan, efficient oil or whatever, and then naglaro kami, pinahulaan ko yung, I said yes. So hindi siya hiwalay. But don't feel guilty. I understand, dear teachers. Sa mind kasi natin, hiniwalay natin ang laro at at the learning. When all this time, that's how they learn. That's how they express what they have learned. Narinig niyo yun? That's how they learn inward, di ba? And that's also how they express what they learn. Yung pag ginagawa natin ng assessment, kaya yung iba mababa sa paper and pen na na test. Ask them to do it in other ways. Then you will realize natuto sila actually. Kaya lang hindi nila naipakita dun sa paper and pen, but in diverse ways. Okay?
Okay. Thank you po, Teacher Claude. That's all the question we have for now. Any last
Thank you.
reminders po to our viewers for today?
Well, I would just like to thank you all. If I have a reminder, it's this. It's difficult. It's difficult to unlearn than to learn. Kaya nauunawaan ko kayo, dear teachers and parents, it's more difficult to unlearn than to learn. Kasi we have to really, we have to humbly take off one hat and put on another hat. And meron pa akong isang reminder, however, learning never stops. Kaya ngayong hapon, meron kayong natutunang bago. Hindi po siya magkahiwalay, yung learning at laro. Kasi yun po ang mundo ng mga bata. Alright? So thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, there we have it. So in behalf of Vibal Group Incorporated, I would like to thank you, Teacher Claude, for your very insightful learning session. A lot of teachers were able to connect sa inyong mga experiences po na share today. It is an honor to have you with us. And to all our Kawibal viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to our daily live learning session. Muli maraming salamat po and have a nice day. Goodbye po. Thank you po, teacher.
Bye-bye. Thank you.